Hello everyone, welcome to another top 3 video. Today we're going to talk about the best 3 relics from the new Drukhari Codex. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell in the corner just there so you know each time we release one of these videos. Well, let's get straight into it. The relics in the new book are awesome. But you do have relics for each specific coven. So you've got like witch cults, you have cabals, and then you have homunculus covens. And all of them have their own relics that they can take. And you can only put them on certain models and stuff. So what I've done is I've taken the best relic from each thing. And then I've ranked them in order. So in at number 3 is the triptych whip. What we're doing here is we're ranking relics that do not rely on warlord traits that work individually. So it's the reason why the triptych whip comes in 3rd is because the relics that you can take on witch cults, pretty much all of them rely on a warlord trait to work well. So that's why it's coming at number 3 for me, is because you need to use a relic and then also a warlord trait to make them pretty decent. So the triptych whip is a poison 2+ whip that replaces your agonizer. It gives +3 to your attacks characteristic, which is bonkers on such a cheap character. Always wounds on 2s, -3 AP, and flat 2 damage. It's brilliant in the meta right now, and it gives 9 attacks to a 65-point succubus, which is great. Then if you have the Cult of Strife, you can combo it with the Warlord trait Blood Dancer, which means each unmodified hit roll of a 6 rolled for this succubus scores 2 additional hits. Now imagine that, you run in there with 9 attacks. So you're running there with 9 attacks. You get like 8 hits because you're hitting on 2s. Say you got 2 6s in there. You've now got 12 hits. 9 attacks? 12 hits? And that's pretty average as well. That's not absurd. 12 hits with this weapon is pretty silly on the cheapest character that you've got going there. So that's why that comes in at number 3 for me. Number 2, now this is great. It's Prophets of Flesh specific. So it's a homunculus coven one, and you can only use it if you're Prophets of Flesh, but it's the Vexator mask. It was always the relic that was used back in the last codex, and it's also going to be one that you see a lot of now because no overwatch can be made against the bearer, which is nice as it is. But now that not everybody can overwatch, you have to spend CBs to do it. The other ability of it is just way better. And that is you select one enemy unit within 3 inches of the bearer at the start of the fight phase, and that unit is not eligible to fight this phase until after all eligible units from your army have done so. So you get charged by any combat units and you make them fight after yours, which is great because all of the homunculus coven units are exceptionally good in combat. Racks are probably the least good, but they're just your troops that you've taken to fill in and hold your backfield. But Talos, even Kronos, and also the Grotesques are the best units in combat probably in the whole book, just because they're so tough and they also hit very hard. So imagine trying to run into them with combat units, trying to kill them, and then they hit you before you hit them. They're just going to whittle down your unit. The damage you put on them is going to be way less than you expected, and they're just going to survive and then be healed by the fleshcraft abilities of the homunculus around them. So that comes in at number 2 for me because it's got great uses. Now, number 1 for me, this took a bit of thinking, but I like the Writ of the Living Muse. I used to take this a lot previously because I'd take it on an Archon that was Cabal of the Black Heart. It is still Cabal of the Black Heart specific, but you used to take this before and he used to give reroll 1s to wound to all Cabal of the Black Heart units within 6 inches. So it was great for your Ravagers to give them reroll 1s to hit by being an Archon and then reroll 1s to wound with Writ of the Living Muse. Now, it still does something pretty similar. What it does is Black Heart core units within 6 inches can reroll 1s to wound. So it no longer works on things like your Ravagers, but it's brilliant for infantry. So they can have reroll 1s to hit because they're next to your Archon, and then reroll 1s to wound as well. But the reason why I've chosen this to be number 1 is because when you take that Real Space Raiders detachment, what it does is if the bearer is a Real Space Raider, then the ability also affects Blades for Hire. Now this is great because Incubi are definitely, point for point, one of the hardest hitting units in the book, and you're going to want to take 2 to 3 units of them in transports, and this Archon will really help them work, because they won't be Cabal the Black Heart because they're blades for hire, but if his relic works on them, that's amazing. And the other benefit of it is if you're in a real space raid detachment, then the overlord ability of your Archon is also changed to the raid mastermind, which means rather than all Black Heart core units within 6 inches rerolling once to hit, it's just all real space raid core units. So that even affects, Witch Cult units and Homunculus Coven units within 6 inches of him. They all get reroll ones to hit. But if you whiz him around with Incubi, they're hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s because of the raid mastermind ability that your overlord gets replaced with, and then also with the Writ of the Living Muse, because in the real space raiders they're rerolling 1s to wound. So it just makes your army synergize a lot more than any other relic that there is to take in the Drukhari book, and that's why it comes in at number 1 for me, because it's all about synergy, I think, here, and you're definitely gonna want to take a real space raid detachment. So in my opinion, those are the best 3 relics in the new Drukhari Codex. If you have any that are serving you really well or that you think could be really good, please leave them in the comments below for everybody to share. And until the next video, see you later, guys.